The water blue star is captured and dragged into the game. When other players were there trying to recruit soldiers, Chen Wei had already begun the path of synthesizing natural disasters. Skull, plus, Crossbow Carriage, Sad Face White Bone Crossbow Carriage, Naga, plus, Insect Egg, Sad Face 6-Armed Alien, Archangel+ACR Nuclear Reactor equals Mechanical Paradise Demons, Undead Beings, Machinery, and Insect Swarms, all of which are fearless of death, crazily killing and destroying everything, can be called natural disasters. And Chen Wei is the master of natural disasters. Looking at the Death Star, Laser Skull, and Ghost Fire Phoenix behind him, Chen Wei had only one thought in his heart. Players, it can also be considered a natural disaster. How about trying to synthesize it? Author Group 5517511609 Keywords of the novel. Master of Natural Disaster Synthesis. No pop-ups. Complete collection download of Master of Natural Disaster Synthesis TXT, latest chapter reading of Master of Natural Disaster Synthesis. Chapter 1. Natural Disaster Synthesis. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Natural Disaster Synthesis. The night is deep, and the shadows of trees are swaying. Chen Wei, who was lying in a rather peculiar posture, was so sore that he no longer felt like his own. But he didn't dare to move even a little more. Not far from him, a skeleton soldier was staring at his every move, and his flesh-free mouth made a grin of laughter. At the feet of the skeleton soldiers, there was a corpse lying upside down, with its eyes fixed on the spot where Chen Wei was lying. It was this corpse that made Chen Wei calm down and carefully stared at the long sword wielded by the skeleton soldiers. Just 5 minutes ago, people all over the world heard a voice. Ding, the 117th planet capture of the game, Hero Lord, begins, targeting the target planet, Aqua Blue Star. And the official fusion begins. Welcome to the world of Hero Lord. There is magic, gods, and a strange world here. There are territories, cities, heroes, legions, and endless resources here. Here, you can gain endless life and also face endless challenges. Only those who survive can obtain everything. They were sent to various different places before they understood what was going on. There are no territories, cities, heroes, or legions mentioned in the prompt, and the only thing that protects them is the semi-circular defense shield above their heads, which is like an inverted bowl. The function of this defense shield has been proven by the corpses that died at the feet of the skeleton soldiers. However, Chen Wei understood that even if he lay down like this, he wouldn't be able to hold on for long. The defense shield around him had changed from being able to make him sit up just now to being able to only make him lie down. Before long, this defense shield would disappear. The rusty iron sword in the hands of the skeleton soldiers had already been raised, waiting for Chen Wei to leave the safe area. We must find a way to save ourselves. Chen Wei's hand retracted, and the defense shield became smaller. He could no longer lie down with his limbs folded up. And the skeleton soldier took a small step forward, and the sword in his hand seemed to be raised even higher. Opportunity. Chen Wei made a gesture of getting up. As Chen Wei was about to stand up, the skeleton soldier swung a sword towards him. But Chen Wei took this opportunity to move forward. The skeleton soldier's sword struck the pale yellow defense shield with a ding sound. At the moment when the sword bounced back, Chen Wei collided directly with the skeleton soldier. A body weighing 1.8 meters and 160 pounds, the skeleton soldiers who were only 1.6 meters tall were immediately knocked open. At the same time, his hand grabbed the withered bones of the skeleton soldier and pulled down with force. The wrist of the skeleton soldier was pulled open, and the rusty sword fell into Chen Wei's hand. Chen Wei flipped his hand and the rusty sword plunged directly into the skull of the skeleton soldier. Using his own weight, Chen Wei forcefully nailed the skeleton soldiers to the ground. Chen Wei breathed a sigh of relief as he watched the faint blue flames disappear from the eyes of the skeleton soldiers. He turned around and saw that the defensive shield he had used to protect himself from where he was lying was completely gone. Throwing the rusty sword to the ground, Chen Wei sat on the skeleton panting heavily. At the same time, a voice came from his ear. Kill one skeleton soldier and activate the system. Please silently recite your attributes and summon the system. After his breath calmed down, Chen Wei finally said, attribute. In the next moment, Chen Wei only felt a pain in the back of his right hand, and a purple line appeared on the back of his hand. At the same time, a light blue semi-transparent interface popped up in front of him. Name: Chen Wei, Life. 120, Mana. 45, Race. Human, Level. Extraordinary Level 1, Personal Killing, Battle Killing, City Promotion can be improved, Talent. Natural Disaster Synthesis, Combat Attributes. Strength 5, Agility 6, Physique 7, Perception 5, Intelligence 9, Campaign Attributes. Attack 0, Defense 0, Magic 1, Wisdom 2, Territory. None, Hero. None, Unit. None. Looking at the information, Chen Wei couldn't help roast. What kind of game is this? There is only one life, not to mention anything necessary. Who can play with this? Looking at these attributes, what are the combat attributes? Are you fighting on your own? What about campaign attributes? Does this Hero Lord game also have territories, heroes, and troops? Is this the rhythm of farming? What left him speechless the most was his talent, the synthesis of natural disasters. What does it mean, a natural disaster level synthesis ability? Can natural disasters still be synthesized? What does this natural disaster refer to, a storm, an earthquake, or something? Chen Wei looked at his talent attributes with a puzzled expression. At this glance, the first thing that catches the eye is a more complex explanation than the drug manual. Chen Wei, relying on his reading comprehension of the college entrance examination, finally understood what his talent was. The so-called natural disasters refer not to storms, earthquakes, etc., but to groups such as demons, undead spirits, machinery, and insect swarms that are not afraid of death, crazily killing and destroying everything. Originally, players were part of the scourge, known as the fourth scourge. But players in this world have only one life. Can players who cannot be revived be called the fourth scourge? Unable to create players, Chen Wei's natural disaster synthesis loses half of its significance. However, this finally has the ability to mass-produce such powerful units. According to the instructions, Chen Wei can easily pull up the Skeleton Sea Army in the Mechanical Legion, while transforming them into special units of his own design. There is only one premise here, which is that he has sufficient materials. Just like making undead requires a large number of corpses, making machinery requires enough steel, and demons and insect swarms each have their own needs. It's not that he can create a big army just by wanting to change. According to the instructions, Chen Wei found a dedicated synthesis page located after the pages of attributes, territory, hero, legion, forum, transaction, manufacturing, etc. This synthesis page is actually divided into 3 parts. The first part is the synthesis formula. It is the place where Chen Wei used to study new types of troops. Chen Wei can put various materials here to study new branches of the army. As for the attributes and characteristics of the troops, it depends on Chen Wei's imagination and the materials he invests. The second part is batch conversion. Here, as long as there is enough material, Chen Wei can quickly convert the material into the designated unit according to the established formula. The third part is batch decomposition, where Chen Wei can convert useless units or corpses into various materials required for composite units. It can be said that this page is almost integrated, and all the things Chen Wei needs are ready directly. Looking at this information, Chen Wei thought of Gru and Dekkan in Invincible Heroes, who can be converted into different types of troops. Can transform oneself into a more personalized unit. After understanding what was going on, Chen Wei turned to the skeleton soldier he had killed. No matter how clear the instructions are, I haven't personally experimented with them. He reached out and touched the scattered skeleton, and in an instant, a book-like object with prompt messages flashed out in front of him. Skull, plus, weapon, rusty sword, sad-face skull soldier, super level 1, consumes 1 mana, so it turns out, isn't this the soul summoning technique after being defeated in Heroes Invincible? Chen Wei doesn't want to transform into a skeleton soldier like this. That kind of skeleton soldier is too useless, it's just a waste of materials. But synthesis always requires other items, where does he go to find other items? Chen Wei looked around, and finally his gaze fell on the position of the defense shield just now. He quickly headed towards there. Just now, something could raise a defense shield here, and there must be something below that he didn't notice. Time was too tight before, but now it's different. Chen Wei is touching the ground quickly. Finally, a faint smile appeared on his face. Found it. New book upload, seeking various support. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. First kill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 First kill, discovering the soul-suppressing coffin cover *1, soul-suppressing coffin cover. A special coffin cover that is 2.2 meters long and 1 meter wide, with a soul-suppressing talisman engraved on it. After being buried underground, a 4 square meter safe area can be established. It turns out that this has always been protecting me. Chen Wei looked at the things he had dug up and felt a bit clear about what the initial safety zone was all about. Unfortunately, the effect of the soul control talisman on this soul control coffin is no longer there, otherwise he would still be able to hide in a safe area. When Chen Wei received the cover of the soul-suppressing coffin, a new message popped up in front of him. Discovered synthetic items. May I ask if you have formed your own synthesis formula for synthesis? Skull, plus, soul-suppressing coffin cover, sad face. Success rate of 90%, consumes 1 mana, can it be synthesized? With a 90% success rate, I did it. Chen Wei's mind moved, but he didn't see any movement. A warm feeling came from his hands and landed on the ground. Then Chen Wei saw a purple magic circle with a diameter of 1 meter appear on the ground. The skeleton beside him and the recently found soul-suppressing coffin quickly disappeared into the magic circle. Subsequently, the ground shook slightly, and the ground, which was 2 meters by 2 meters outward from him, turned into the unique vermilion color of the coffin board. At the edge of the coffin board were bone spurs and ground nails piercing out from the ground, one by one inserted upside down on the ground, not too high, only slightly above Chen Wei's feet. It felt like a row of fence walls. But Chen Wei had a feeling of being protected by these bone spurs and ground nails. Natural disaster synthesis completed, obtaining extraordinary quality. Skull wall, branch properties, name. Skeleton wall quality. Extraordinary, with a maximum level of 7, type. Undead scourge characteristic. Dispelling evil level. Extraordinary level 1 attribute. Attack 0, defense 6, health 200 initial skill. Defense net, each skeleton wall can affect 4 square meters of land, resist various evil attacks from the sky, ground, and underground. Before the skeleton wall's life is depleted, all attacks cannot damage the life inside the skeleton wall. Explanation. This is a undead that can change between a skull and a safe area. Due to material limitations, its attribute is to dispel evil spirits. What kind of ghost is dispelling evil? Chen Wei was still considering this matter when his ribs, which had been inserted into the ground, suddenly lit up, and a faint blue ghostly flame illuminated the surroundings. A team of 5 skeleton soldiers were walking out of the darkness. These skeleton soldiers are exactly the same as those who were killed by Chen Wei before. They are carrying rusty iron swords in their hands, making a clattering sound on their bodies, and rushing towards Chen Wei. Chen Wei wanted to try the level of the skeleton wall, and he stood in front of the fence made up of bone spurs and ground nails, shouting at the skeleton soldiers. "Come on, grandson. A skeleton soldier will walk faster and quickly charge towards Chen Wei." He swung his sword towards Chen Wei. Chen Wei flashed back, only to find that the sword had not been able to cut into the fence. At the sight of such an opportunity, Chen Wei immediately wielded a rusty sword and slashed at the neck of the skeleton soldier, cutting off his head with just one strike. At this point, the remaining 4 skeleton soldiers had also arrived here, and Chen Wei shouted at the 4 skeleton soldiers. "Come on, look here." The 4 skeleton soldiers had no brains and were attracted by Chen Wei's voice. They all turned their heads to look at Chen Wei at the same time. Taking this opportunity, Chen Wei once again swung his sword towards a skeleton soldier. When the head of this skeleton soldier was chopped off, the swords of the remaining 3 skeleton soldiers had also been cut towards Chen Wei. However, these 3 skeleton soldiers, like the one who charged the fastest just now, failed to strike Chen Wei with their swords and were bounced back. Chen Wei understood the effect of the skeleton wall at a glance. He chopped towards another skeleton soldier while attracting their attention. Do not let the skeleton soldiers have any chance to retreat. Under the attraction of Chen Wei, the skeleton soldiers did not seek any other way to attack Chen Wei. Instead, they stood in front of the skeleton wall, chopping at each other with swords. Even if they knew they couldn't hit Chen Wei, the skeleton soldier had no intention of retreating. This brought a lot of convenience to Chen Wei. He didn't need to consider defense issues and always aimed his sword at the enemy's neck before cutting it off. After a few swords, all 3 remaining skeletons fell to the ground. At the same time, a series of sounds came from Chen Wei's ear. You kill 5 regular skeleton soldiers, gain 15 combat experience. Gain 60 combat experience. You have obtained 5 broken skeletal soldier corpses. How to deal with the discovery of skeleton soldiers' bodies, resurrection, summoning, and decomposition. Resurrection. There is a 10% chance to resurrect the undead after the battle and let them join your army. Summoning. 25% chance to convert all creatures killed in this battle into undead after the battle ends. Conversion rate is affected by soul summoning, decomposition. Decompose the corpse into various materials, synthesize batch decomposition skills. Let's break it down, Chen Wei said as he checked the information. He quickly figured out the difference between combat experience and campaign experience. Whether it's combat experience or campaign experience, they can all be used to improve the player's level. In addition, combat experience can also be used to upgrade skills, enhance player attributes, and so on, while battle experience can be used to upgrade the level of one's own soldiers. Strengthening soldiers' weapons and equipment, and so on. After all, the sources are different, and there may be some differences in their usefulness. However, Chen Wei's promotion to level 1 now requires 100 points of experience, not to mention strengthening his subordinates. In the previous wave, he didn't even have enough experience to upgrade. Chen Wei didn't focus all his attention on this either. His gaze immediately turned to the recently decomposed skeleton soldier corpse. Decomposed successfully. Obtain 6 gold coins, obtain 6 complete units of white bones. Obtain 11 units of white bone fragments. For rusty swords, normal quality, obtain 1 thigh bone, extraordinary quality, dot. A rusty sword, extraordinary quality, gold coin. A regular gold coin that can be used for trading. Complete white bone. A complete white bone without cracks, which can be used to make white bone weapons. White bone fragments. Fragmented and incomplete white bones that can be used to strengthen undead units such as skeleton soldiers, skeleton shooters, and skeleton mages. Thigh bones, extraordinary quality. Leg bones with extraordinary strength, can be used to make weapons, and can also be used to strengthen white bone undead units. Rusty sword, normal. Attack 3, a rusty long sword that can be used by ordinary soldiers. Rust sword, extraordinary quality, attack. 5, special. There is a 50% chance to poison enemies, reducing 3 health points per second. Explanation. This rusty sword is full of evil energy, rust, and some unknown aura. Don't be hurt by this sword. Looking at the materials on the ground, Chen Wei threw down the rusty sword in his hand and replaced it with an extraordinary quality rusty sword. Then he stepped out of the protective range of the skeleton wall. Chen Wei was well aware that his ability to fight was entirely due to the protection of the skeleton wall. So there's no need to think about what needs to be done next. Just strengthen the skeleton wall. Skull wall, take these white bone fragments and that big leg bone, and add 2 rusty swords to it for you. After Chen Wei finished speaking, the fence wall made up of ribs shrank into the ground, with a white bone arm extending from the ground and a skeleton slowly crawling outward. On the back of this skeleton, there is a huge coffin lid with the words Chen Xia written in cinnabar. The speed of this skeleton crawling is relatively slow, it took a whole minute to crawl out of the ground. After crawling out, the skeleton walked towards the white bone fragments. Fortunately, after becoming a skeleton, its movement speed was not slow, and it was no different from a normal skeleton soldier. After picking up all the materials arranged by Chen Wei for him, the skeleton lay directly on the ground, and its body dived underground again. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Treasure Chest. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Treasure Chest. The rough operation of the skeleton wall left Chen Wei stunned. He never expected that the skeleton wall would be so homely. After transforming into a skeleton, he moves no slower than a skeleton soldier. But it takes him 1 minute to transition from a walled state to a skeleton soldier state. And this guy is very obvious. Before Chen Wei's command, he was accustomed to becoming in a walled state. If he could lay it on the ground, he wouldn't move around. Of course, the benefits of taking the materials are also obvious. This time, the scope of the skeleton wall has significantly expanded, from the original 4 square meters to about 5 square meters. At the same time, 2 rusty swords inserted into the ground were added to the fence wall composed of ribs. What can Chen Wei say about a situation like a skeleton wall? He wrapped the remaining materials in clothes and carried them on his back. Get up, we can't stay here too long. It's not safe here, and we don't know what the mission is now, but we have to find a safe place to live first. Under Chen Wei's command, the skeleton wall crawled out of the ground once again. Chen Wei noticed that there were slight changes in the appearance of the skeleton wall at this time. He had a significantly wider thigh bone, and at the same time, there were many armor fragments made of white bone fragments on his body. However, Chen Wei found that the 2 rusty swords did not seem to be on the skeleton. Instead, he forcefully chopped it onto the coffin board. This surprised Chen Wei a bit. As Chen Wei curiously scrutinized the changes on the skeleton wall raised its head as if signaling for Chen Wei to hurry up. Chen Wei couldn't help but smile. It seems that his subordinate is not as brainless as he thought, a skeleton soldier, and he still has some self-awareness. That way, it becomes interesting. With the protection of a skeleton wall, Chen Wei chose a direction and quickly moved forward. Before taking a few steps, Chen Wei walked into the darkness, where he felt the rustling of footsteps all around him. At this moment, Chen Wei regretted not bringing a torch in. But they have already entered, and there is no time to turn back. Chen Wei clenched the rusty sword in his hand and said to the skeleton wall behind him, "Be ready for battle at any time." After Chen Wei finished speaking, a faint blue light shone behind him, dispelling a lot of darkness. Chen Wei turned around and found a leg bone in the hand of the skeleton wall, and the ghostly flame emitted from the leg bone. And the skeleton wall was looking sideways at Chen Wei, as if asking, "Why are you always ready for battle?" Chen Wei smiled awkwardly, he didn't expect the skeleton wall to have such skills. He turned his head and looked around through the faint ghostly fire. Although the ghostly fire could only show him a distance of less than 10 meters from his side, it was already enough. Chen Wei noticed that he had entered a black forest. All the trees in this forest are crooked, with no leaves on the black branches. Instead, there are dirty cloth dolls hanging on the branches. Tombs or large pits occasionally appear under the trees. The skeleton soldiers just now should have crawled out of these large pits. Chen Wei only glanced at it and then stepped forward with a sword to cut off a branch. He picked up a branch and said to the skeleton wall behind him, "Come, borrow a fire." The skeleton wall actually understood Chen Wei's meaning and extended the leg bones that lit the ghost fire forward. Chen Wei placed the branches on the fire, and at first he just casually thought about it. After all, ghostly flames belong to cold flames, which is common sense. He was not sure if ghostly fires could burn the branches. But he never expected that this branch would actually be lit. It's just that the flames lit up are green and the color is even more unsightly than ghostly flames. Hand over the lit branches to the skeleton wall, and Chen Wei chopped off a few more branches for later use. After lighting a torch for himself, Chen Wei finally felt much easier. He held a torch in one hand and a rusty sword in the other, carrying a skeleton wall, searching for a suitable route to get off and moving forward. It's not that Chen Wei has any adventurous spirit, but that he is very clear about the nature of the game. Just now, there was always a skeleton soldier waiting outside the safety zone. After finally killing the skeleton soldiers, 5 more arrived immediately. This indicates that the game hero lord will not allow players to safely farm in one place. If the nearby dangers are not cleared up in advance, he will soon fall into heavy danger. It's better to take a walk outside and see what new discoveries are waiting for death in one place. Well, Chen Wei had only walked more than 10 meters when he saw something different under the tree not far away. Under the withered old tree, there was a magnificent treasure chest shimmering with golden light. The treasure chest emitted an emerald green light under the reflection of Chen Wei's torch, but Chen Wei could still clearly determine that the locks and various patterns on the chest were all gold. Seeing this treasure chest, Chen Wei was first delighted, and then his face became solemn. Suddenly appearing in such a place, Chen Wei would have some doubts. If this is a treasure chest, it can only be said that it is Chen Wei's good luck. But what if this thing is not a treasure chest but a trap? Chen Wei too didn't even turn and said, "Wall, up." The skeleton wall seemed to understand Chen Wei's meaning, and as he lay on the ground, the safe area appeared outside the treasure chest. Chen Wei only approached the treasure chest after entering the safe area. He did not reach out to open the treasure chest, but used the rusty sword in his hand to pick the lock on the treasure chest. The rusty sword just touched the treasure chest, and it suddenly jumped up. The lid of the treasure chest opened, and a tongue stuck out from inside, hitting Chen Wei. As expected. Chen Wei, who was already prepared, was not surprised at all. His rusty sword stabbed the tongue of the treasure chest. The tongue of the treasure chest was pierced, and a row of steel-sharp teeth appeared directly on the lid, biting fiercely towards the rusty sword. At this moment, Chen Wei forcefully thrust the rusty sword in his hand, and the entire rusty sword plunged into the treasure chest. At the same time, he casually pulled out the rusty sword inserted on the ground with his left hand, and directly inserted it into the treasure chest, so the lid of the treasure chest could not be closed. At this moment, Chen Wei pulled out the rusty sword that had pierced into the tongue of the treasure chest, and then struck a heavy sword at the chest. As Chen Wei continued to attack, the treasure chest finally broke down. With a click, the lid of the treasure chest was cut open by Chen Wei's sword, revealing the inside of the treasure chest. At the same time, a ding sound came from Chen Wei's ear. You kill 1 treasure chest monster, extraordinary level 1, and gain 20 combat experience and 30 battle experience. Discovered a corpse of the treasure chest monster. How to handle, preserve, summon, and decompose it. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. New Formulas. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 New Formulas. Looking at this message, Chen Wei's eyes lit up. The body of this treasure chest monster can be used for synthesis. He quickly approached and touched the body of the treasure chest monster, and two normal synthesis formulas appeared in his mind. Treasure chest monster plus gem equals treasure chest beehive, extraordinary level 2, consumes 2 mana points, treasure chest monster, plus, firestone, sad face flame treasure chest, extraordinary level 2, consumes 2 mana points. These two synthesis formulas correspond to the direction of the insect swarm and the demon at a glance. Like the skull soldier formula that appeared when Chen Wei first captured the skull, they are both the most basic and legitimate synthesis formulas. But Chen Wei's ability to synthesize natural disasters is not used in this way. If only the most basic formula is used, it cannot reflect the characteristics of this talent at all. Chen Wei glanced at the material at hand and casually put the material that could be taken out inside. Treasure chest monster, plus, complete white bone, sad face. Success rate 71%, consumes 2 mana points, treasure box monster, plus, rust sword, sad face. Success rate 58%, consumes 3 mana points. Taking a glance at the success rate data here, Chen Wei had an idea in his mind. The chance of pairing a treasure chest monster with either a white bone or a rusty sword is actually not high. But who made this treasure chest monster a corpse now, coupled with the fact that the bones belong to a part of the undead, this directly increases the success rate. The new treasure chest monster produced in this way may not have much combat power. Chen Wei hesitated for a moment, whether to leave the body of the treasure chest monster and wait for the materials to make the determined formula, or to gamble with the materials available now. If we follow the original formula, we can directly synthesize extraordinary level 2 creatures. Although we cannot determine the usefulness of this thing based solely on its name, what can be left as the basic formula must have been proven on the battlefield. But will different ideas bring him different benefits? Chen Wei did not hesitate for long, and in the end, he chose the formula with the highest success rate. Treasure box monster with complete white bones, synthesized. With Chen Wei's command, his mana was drawn out again, and at the same time, Chen Wei's white bones began to scatter on the ground, forming a purple magic circle with a diameter of nearly 2 meters on the ground. Because the magic circle had significantly increased in size, Chen Wei could already see the contents of the magic circle. Undead transformation. The color of the corpse of the treasure chest monster on the ground changed from sparkling gold to gray, and all the places originally inlaid with gold became white bones. At the same time, at the 4 corners of the treasure chest, there were additional bottom seats composed of white bones. Natural disaster synthesis completed, obtain extraordinary quality. White bone treasure chest, branch properties, name. White bone treasure chest quality. Extraordinary, with a maximum level of 4, type. Undead scourge features. Space level. Extraordinary level 1 attribute. Attack 0, defense 2, health 100 initial skill. Storage space, as a white bone treasure chest with spatial ability, they only have one function, which is to store various resources, explanation. A material transportation tool that can automatically follow behind you. Items stored inside the white bone treasure box are not easily stolen, but those stored outside cannot be guaranteed. After reading this information, Chen Wei understood the purpose of this white bone treasure chest. The white bone treasure chest waved and quickly ran to Chen Wei's side. Chen Wei opened the lid of the treasure chest and found a space inside that was like a game backpack. He tried and found that the entire white bone treasure chest has a total of 20 compartments, each of which can hold a total of 99 items of the same type. In addition, Chen Wei also noticed that there were actually many hooks outside the white bone treasure chest, which could be seen. After the treasure chest was filled with things, he could also push supplies onto it. However, as a result, the movement speed of this white bone treasure box is not as fast and flexible as it is now. After throwing the remaining complete white bones and rusty sword into the white bone treasure chest, Chen Wei stepped hard on the ground. The skeleton wall crawled out of the ground again. And Chen Wei tied the still burning torch to the white bone treasure chest. Although the position illuminated by the fire is a bit low, it can make the skeleton wall empty. With this harvest, Chen Wei's gaze towards the forest in front of him changed again. There are still good things inside, and Chen Wei slowed down at this moment. He planned to take more turns in this forest. See if there are any other materials to collect. Even if there are no other materials, chopping more branches to make torches is still good. Chen Wei only took a few steps when he realized that the white bone treasure chest had run out on its own. This situation startled Chen Wei. Although he believed his subordinates wouldn't run away, what was the situation in front of him? Chen Wei quickly chased after him with the skeleton wall. After only 2 steps, I saw the white bone treasure chest running back on its own. He was like a little dog discovering something good, constantly circling around Chen Wei. Chen Wei was surprised in his heart. Could it be that this white bone treasure chest still has a treasure hunting function? With such thoughts in his heart, Chen Wei followed the white bone treasure chest a few steps forward with his rusty sword. After bypassing a withered tree, Chen Wei couldn't help but take a deep breath. Behind this withered tree, there is actually a large cemetery. A large number of gray-skinned zombies are walking slowly in the cemetery. They were wearing tattered clothes and carrying kitchen knives, moving aimlessly between the graves. Chen Wei glanced at the number of zombies here and took 2 steps back. The quantity is too large to beat. If there were only 1 or 2 zombies, Chen Wei would definitely rush up and brush some materials. But judging from the number of zombies here now, it will only be him who rushes up and is used as material. This doesn't have to be fought. After a few steps, Chen Wei took note of his current position and waited for enough troops to come and handle it. But Chen Wei wants to withdraw, it's not that easy to do so. He only took 2 steps back when he heard a click. I don't know who stepped on what. The nearby zombies turned their heads and stared directly at Chen Wei. When they saw the torch tied to the white bone treasure chest, they immediately ran towards Chen Wei. Retreat. Chen Wei quickly led his subordinates around and ran away. But after running a few steps, Chen Wei realized something was different. Although there were many zombies in the cemetery, the number of chased ones was small. This time, only 5 zombies chased out, and even their movement speed was very slow. This can be fought. Chen Wei's eyes lit up and he said to the skeleton wall, "You, immediately turn into a wall." Upon hearing this, the skeleton wall fell to the ground without saying a word and returned to its walled state. Afterwards, Chen Wei extinguished the torch on his hand and said to the white bone treasure chest, "Go lead them over and run around here, don't be too fast, you know." Upon hearing this, the white bone treasure chest ran out towards the 5 zombies. And Chen Wei stood in the safe area, lying down and preparing for the attack. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Campaign. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Campaign. There is a significant difference between the movement speed of zombies and the movement speed of bone chests. The white bone treasure chest can run and stop, and even throw zombies far away. After running a few steps, the white bone treasure chest brought the zombie to the front of the skeleton wall. Afterwards, he ran around the wall. The zombies were attracted by the radiance and ignored Chen Wei, who was close in front of them. This allowed Chen Wei to seize the opportunity. As the zombies turned around, he swung a sword at the neck of one of them. Just this time, Chen Wei doesn't seem to be as easy as fighting skeleton soldiers. After the zombie's neck was chopped off, not only did it not fall, but it turned its head to focus on Chen Wei. He also raised the kitchen knife in his hand and was about to chop towards Chen Wei. Chen Wei's reaction was also quick. He drew a rusty sword with his left hand, blocking the kitchen knife, and raised the rusty sword with his right hand again, cutting towards the neck of the zombie. Not even 2 swords were able to kill the zombies. Chen Wei felt for the first time that his combat effectiveness did not seem as strong as he had imagined. He simply refused to resist the attack of the kitchen knife, holding a rusty sword in his left and right hands as if cutting vegetables, constantly chopping at the zombies in front of him. Now Chen Wei finally found the weakness of the zombie. Zombie blood is relatively thick, but it has not yet reached an invincible level. After 4 or 5 swords, the zombie also fell. At this moment, the white bone treasure chest also saw that the situation had improved, and immediately led the zombies following over. Chen Wei didn't hide anymore at this moment. He watched as the zombie was led away by the white bone treasure chest in front of him, and a series of rusty sword attacks were launched against the zombie walking at the back. Under such repeated attacks, all 5 lured zombies finally collapsed outside the skeleton wall. At this moment, Chen Wei didn't think much. After hearing a ding sound, he reached out and touched the corpse of the zombie. You kill 5 zombies, extraordinary level 1, gain 50 combat experience. Gain 100 combat experience. You have obtained 5 zombie corpses. How should you handle them, including preservation, resurrection, summoning, and decomposition? Of course, we will keep it for now and see if there is a synthetic solution. Zombie, plus, poison, sad face plague zombie, extraordinary level 3, consumes 3 mana points, zombie plus birth equals a petrochemical zombie, extraordinary level 2, consumes 2 mana points, Unlike treasure-chested monsters, walking corpses are considered standard undead creatures, but as soon as they come into contact, Chen Wei's eyes flash with more than 10 different synthesis formulas. This is just basic synthesis, belonging to the scope of 1+1. I believe there will be more advanced synthesis schemes waiting in the later stage. However, the synthesis formula here is quite unfriendly to Chen Wei. Either there is insufficient material in the formula, or there is enough material, and the synthesized undead does not meet Chen Wei's requirements. Chen Wei waved at the white bone treasure chest and dug out the materials from inside. He only has 5 complete white bones and 2 rusty swords left in his hand. There are so many corpses here now, why don't we try them all? After putting the synthetic materials into the synthesis page again, Chen Wei popped up a message about the synthesis formula in front of him. Zombie, plus, complete white bone, sad face. Success rate 45%, consumes 1 mana, zombie, plus, rusty sword, sad face. Success rate 37%, consumes 1 mana. Although he had not conducted any experiments, Chen Wei had already noticed that the level of natural disasters converted through his abilities was actually equivalent to the mana consumed during the conversion. Both of these consume only 1 mana, which is the cannon fodder of extraordinary level 1. With that time, he might as well try other things. Not to mention the low conversion rate. Chen Wei is about to spray. However, he quickly realized that within the undead, zombies and skeletal soldiers are not the same system. There is an explanation for the complete white bones, which can be used to strengthen the undead of the white bone system. The zombie in front of me is a zombie-type undead with a 45% success rate, which is already due to the fact that they are both undead. As for the combination of the walking corpse rusty sword, it is entirely because the rusty sword in Chen Wei's hand belongs to a single-handed sword and requires a light and agile sword movement. Slow movements like walking corpses cannot kill a person with a rusty sword. So this conversion not only results in a low grade, but also a low success rate. Helpless, Chen Wei could only shake his head and abandon these 2 routes. He was planning to choose a temporary one from the previous route that could be used. After the next wave of zombies is killed, he needs to decompose the bodies of the zombies and produce some different materials. Just as Chen Wei was preparing for synthesis, he suddenly thought of a possibility. Chen Wei waved at the white bone treasure chest and reached out to grab the torch tied to it. Zombie, plus, torch, sad face. Success rate of 70%, consumes 2 mana points, can we still do this? Chen Wei was surprised to see a 70% success rate. You can give it a try. Chen Wei secretly mobilized his magic power in his heart. This time, He did not let the magic power run freely, but guided it in the direction of the magic formation he had seen before. This is equivalent to Chen Wei himself learning to draw a magic circle to transform natural disasters. After drawing the magic circle, Chen Wei pushed a corpse into it and then placed a torch on the magic circle. The magic in the magic circle is activated and quickly operates. The zombie in the magic circle twisted its body and slowly turned over, exerting force before slowly standing up. He still had the same blue-gray skin as before, with bones exposed in some parts of his body, but the kitchen knife in his hand was missing. The hand that was originally holding the knife was holding a metal torch. Natural disaster synthesis completed, obtaining extraordinary quality. Torch corpse, branch properties, name. Torch corpse quality. Extraordinary, with a maximum level of 6, type. Undead scourge characteristic. Flame level. Extraordinary level 1 attributes. Attack 4, Defense 4, Health 230, Ammunition 3 initial skill. Fireball technique. As a weapon for zombies, the torch of a zombie can not only be used for melee, but also release fireballs for long-range attacks, although it contains some phosphorus poison. Explanation. Zombies holding torches can engage in close combat and long-range attacks when needed, and can serve as streetlights when not needed. After seeing the number of corpses in the torch, Chen Wei laughed. What he wants is this kind of aggressive unit. The previous skeleton wall had super strong defense, but no attack power. And the white bone treasure chest can only serve as a means of transportation, at most it can bring the enemy in front of it, and it also has no combat power at all. At first, Chen Wei's confident attack power had little effect in facing enemies with thick skin and blood like zombies. He really hopes to have a group of highly skilled troops to help him fight. But he never found a chance. Now that's it. Chen Wei ran directly to the nearby withered tree, cut off a large number of branches, and tied torches one by one. Putting all of this on the ground, Chen Wei hesitated for a moment before finally choosing to let the system guide him. After all, he only learns to convert separately now, and he doesn't know if there is any difference in batch conversion. Batch synthesis and conversion of torch zombies. Under Chen Wei's command, the remaining 4 corpses also stood up from the ground, turning into torchbearers holding metal torches. Ding! More than 5 soldiers of the same type have been found. Activate the formation function. Please check on the Legion page. Looking at the information in front of him, Chen Wei opened the Legion page. Looking at the series of explanations in front of him, Chen Wei felt that the Legion formation seemed very troublesome. The formation mentioned here is not just about putting soldiers of the same kind together. As long as they form a formation, it indicates that these soldiers will occupy a certain position in the player's battle. Even cannon fodder has its place. So when forming a formation, the first thing to do is to choose the role of this unit and determine what these soldiers are used for. Seeking recommendations, monthly passes, and collectibles. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Strange, Too Many Attractions. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Strange, Too Many Attractions Legion 1, Unnamed, Legion Function. Remote Battery Branch. Torch Corpse Quantity. 5 pieces level. Extraordinary Level 1 Campaign Experience. 0, 500, Legion Blessing. From Commander, Attack +0, Defense +0, from Legion, none, from Magic, none, from Equipment, none. Playing with the small flag that had just emerged in his hand, Chen Wei roughly understood what this Legion was all about. If it's not just a few similar branches standing together, it's called a Legion. When they became legions, their lives and combat power were actually connected. During battles, you can command and direct in a unified manner. If one of them is upgraded, the levels of the others will also increase. As long as you use magic on one of them, the others will also be blessed by magic. Even if one of the soldiers is equipped with new equipment, the equipment of the other soldiers will be updated immediately. In this way, not only can the convenience of command be ensured, but also the convenience of strengthening soldiers within the army. He also said that it was not a game, which had found a patch for soldiers who looked exactly the same in the game. You said you are already a game, which makes it difficult for people to play. Chen Wei secretly complains in his heart, but his movements do not stop. When holding the command flag, he quickly mobilized the torch and the zombie stood behind him. At the same time, he said to the white bone treasure chest in front of him, which looked like a puppy, "Go ahead and bring some more out." Upon hearing the command, the white bone treasure chest quickly rushed out. Chen Wei did not rush out with him. He stood here at the skeleton wall, tiptoeing to see the direction towards the white bone treasure chest. However, Chen Wei was clearly a bit careless with the introduction of powerful troops. He didn't notice that his control over his subordinates was not as good as he had imagined. After the white bone treasure chest rushed into the cemetery, it knocked down a walking corpse with one head. Then he ran around in the cemetery, startling a large number of zombies. Although these zombies move slowly, their targets are very direct and they have locked onto the white bone treasure chest. No matter where the white bone treasure chest runs, they keep chasing after it. At first, Chen Wei didn't pay much attention, but as the noise on the other side of the cemetery increased, Chen Wei also felt something was wrong. He shouted loudly, "White bone treasure chest, return it, don't lure it anymore." After calling 2 or 3 times, the white bone treasure chest rushed out from behind the big tree. Behind him were 10 walking corpses carrying kitchen knives. "Only 10, it's okay." Chen Wei breathed a sigh of relief for the time being. But in the next moment, Chen Wei almost started cursing. After 10 zombies, there are more zombies, and those zombies follow one by one, which has become a trend of zombies. Watching the white bone treasure chest rushing towards him, Chen Wei almost collapsed. He said to the white bone treasure chest, "Circle, you circle for me." Upon hearing Chen Wei's command, the white bone treasure chest spun in place. The speed slowed down in one go. The walking corpse behind saw such an opportunity and slashed towards the white bone treasure chest with a single blow. The white bone treasure chest is not that foolish either. In such a situation, the white bone treasure chest quickly darted up to the side. However, as the white bone treasure chest ran, it kept spinning around, indicating that Chen Wei's orders were still very effective for him. Chen Wei saw that this was not feasible. But there is only one white bone treasure chest like this, and it is not a legion, so it cannot be commanded. He thought for a moment and inserted the flag of the commanding army towards his waist, and the people rushed out. "Follow me to run." Chen Wei was running ahead, with the skeleton wall as the center, starting to run in circles about 100 meters away from the skeleton wall. With a diameter of about 200 meters, the entire distance is stretched to over 600 meters. The most important thing is that Chen Wei has been running in difficult places, jumping up and down from time to time. After running half a circle around the skeleton wall, Chen Wei pulled out the small flag from his waist and waved it heavily downwards. The torch zombies standing behind the skeleton wall also raised their torches in their hands. Chen Wei held the Legion flag that controlled them, and his ideas could easily be transmitted to their minds. At this point, Chen Wei had only one command, to attack the area with the highest number of zombies and knock them down to the ground. 5 torchbearers simultaneously raised their torches and waved them towards the center of the group of corpses. 5 fireballs flew out of the torch and landed on the feet of the zombies rushing out. Boom! In a series of explosions, about 10 walking corpses were blown to the ground. These zombies were not killed by the explosion, and they also looked towards the torch zombies, wanting to get up and attack them. At this point, Chen Wei's request for the torch to bomb areas with many people was finally effective. The undead zombies ignored the fallen brothers in front of them, and their gaze remained on the white bone treasure chest. A large number of zombies rushed up and stepped on the overturned zombies. Before stepping on it a few times, these 10 or so walking corpses had already been trampled to death alive. Chen Wei has already run half a lap at this time. He saw this situation and already had a judgment in his heart. The fireball technique of torch-walking corpse has great power. If calculated well, it is not a problem for a fireball to knock over 4 to 5 zombies. The effect of the fire just now was too good, but it was actually a bit wasteful. Once again, the target zombie group should be located in the middle and slightly ahead. Chen Wei issued another order through the Legion flag. This time, scattered shooting was used. The 5 fireballs flew in different positions. It's different from the explosion just now. There were a total of 5 loud noises this time. This time, more than 20 zombies were blown up, while more than 10 were affected and knocked down to the ground. The zombies behind still surged up. However, the number of zombies following is no longer as large as before. Even if all of them were stepped on, there were still 3 of the overturned zombies that were not trampled to death. They got up from the ground and walked unsteadily towards the torch corpse. Chen Wei saw the situation over there and quickly gave orders to the torchbearer. Wait for those zombies to come over, you can just take them down. The torch zombie held the torch and didn't speak, just stood there waiting. At this point, Chen Wei was about to take a big circle and could see the zombies ahead. At this moment, Chen Wei pulled out his accustomed rusty sword and quickly accelerated forward, chopping at the nearest walking corpse. As long as those zombies were not attacked by fireballs, they ignored the torch zombies and continued to chase after the white bone treasure chest without even seeing Chen Wei behind them. Although Chen Wei was not protected by the skeleton wall this time. But he is not a timid person either. At first, he also fought hard against the skeleton soldier. Now that you have a weapon in your hand, your killing intent starts from scratch. He swung a sword at the neck of the last zombie. Novice stage, various requests. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Great Victory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Great Victory. After chopping over 7 zombies, Chen Wei's side was almost catching up with the group of zombies ahead. He couldn't help but slow down his pace and began to examine the situation before him. At this time, there are about 40 remaining zombies. Divided into 3 groups, they are running after the white bone treasure chest. Because Chen Wei's chosen path was difficult to walk, with both upward and downward movements, and the group of corpses becoming increasingly sparse. However sparse it may be, there are still over 10 walking corpses ahead. If Chen Wei rushes in, he will definitely be attacked from all directions. Pursuing from behind at this point is actually somewhat ineffective. As for allowing the torch zombie to launch a long-range attack, it is also unlikely. 5 torch zombies only have 1 round of ammunition left, and their fireball spell can only be used once again. And this time, we can only kill more than 10 zombies at most. What about the remaining 30 zombies? Is it difficult but we can only fight hard? At this moment, the white bone treasure chest in front suddenly kicked out of the air, and its body kept rolling on the ground. The zombies chasing the white bone treasure chest immediately raised their kitchen knives and fiercely chopped towards it. At this moment, Chen Wei didn't care about anything else and held the army flag, giving orders to the torchbearer. Blow them up. Boom. 5 groups of fireballs are gathering fire again. The group of zombies chasing after the white bone treasure chest were all blown up into the sky. The white bone treasure chest was saved, but the torch corpse's last attack was gone. Looking at the remaining 20 or so corpses, Chen Wei quickly made a decision. Bring them over. The white bone treasure chest that had climbed up from the ground immediately ran towards Chen Wei. Chen Wei also felt a bit depressed at first glance. He asked the bone treasure chest to lead these zombies to the side of the skeleton wall, instead of letting the bone treasure chest lead them to his side. It is indeed difficult to control without formation. Chen Wei thought and ran towards the side of the skeleton wall. The torch-walking corpse, who had been standing behind the skeleton wall, also began to move forward with the torch in hand. Torch zombies without ammunition still have enough melee skills, and those holding torches can all compete with a zombie. This is Chen Wei's last resort. Now Chen Wei can only hope that the white bone treasure chest awesome will separate those walking corpses. As long as there is a chance of 3 to 1, spending more time can still defeat these zombies. Now I'm afraid all the zombies will be lured over. Chen Wei looked at the white bone treasure chest. If it weren't for his reckless behavior this time, such a problem wouldn't have occurred. It seems that he needs a unit to lure monsters. In addition, normal main combat forces should also be present. Letting an archer without ammunition go up and become a melee force is simply a waste. Chen Wei ran as he pondered this matter in his heart. At this moment, he did not notice that his mentality had shifted from an ordinary person to a commander. He is no longer so afraid now, and his mind is more focused on how to achieve victory. If it weren't for the limited number of soldiers he could take out and his own lack of combat power, he would even have the courage to charge towards the zombies. It was only a few hours before Chen Wei entered the game Hero Lord. Chen Wei didn't notice these, but his mind shifted quite quickly. After jumping into the skeleton wall, Chen Wei pointed to the white bone treasure chest. Run in circles towards this side. Afterwards, he lifted a stone and threw it at a walking corpse. The zombie hit by a stone turned to look at Chen Wei and was about to turn around when the zombie from behind collided with him, causing the two zombies to roll together in one fell swoop. At first glance at this situation, what else can Chen Wei say? Let's change the target. When they get up, we don't know how long we'll have to wait. So Chen Wei threw the stone towards another target. The zombie that was hit this time was smoothly led over. Chen Wei stood inside the skeleton wall, holding a rusty sword and staring at the approaching zombies, while Yu Guang also paid attention to the zombies led away by the white bone treasure chest. Occasionally remind the white bone treasure chest not to run in the wrong direction. About a minute later, 3 zombies rushed towards Chen Wei. The 5 torch zombies next to Chen Wei charged forward 2 steps, dragging 2 of them. The one at the front was always placed in front of Chen Wei and was blocked by the skeleton wall. Chen Wei's rusty sword, which he had been wielding for a long time, finally came down. Chen Wei had been preparing for this sword for a long time and had been calculating the position to be struck for half a day. When the zombie came over, Chen Wei's power was already in place everywhere. With one sword, the head of the zombie was cut off directly. After completing this blow, Chen Wei felt like his entire body had sublimated. He rushed out with a rusty sword and aimed it at the enemy fighting against the torch zombies. The zombie was sandwiched between 2 torch zombies. Not to mention counterattacking, he couldn't even make a big move. With this sword, Chen Wei successfully completed the killing once again. Bring it over a bit. Chen Wei rushed towards the 3rd zombie while letting the white bone treasure chest guide the diverted zombie further towards this side. The white bone treasure chest ran out in a zigzag shape on the open ground, bringing back the wandering corpse that had already been carried away. Chen Wei, like before, took a stone and led 3 of them over. This time, he didn't even have the intention to give orders, so he directly asked the white bone treasure box to bring the walking corpses back. Repeatedly dividing and killing like this. After half an hour, Chen Wei finally killed the last walking corpse. Chen Wei, who had killed all the walking corpses, threw the rusty sword in his hand and fell directly to the ground. No matter what, the ground is full of corpses. After resting for at least 10 minutes, Chen Wei finally came to his senses and flipped through the information he had previously received. You killed 103 zombies, extraordinary level 1, and gained 190 combat experience. You gained 2060 combat experience. You have obtained 61 complete zombie corpses. What should you do to preserve, resurrect, summon, and decompose them? You have obtained 40.2 incomplete walking corpses. How should you handle them, preserve them, and decompose them? Looking at the choices of different corpses, Chen Wei was stunned for a moment. What's going on? Incomplete corpses are not worthy of resurrection and summoning. Is this looking down upon the scourge of the undead? Oh, the incomplete corpses here refer to those that have been trampled into flesh by zombies. It's okay then. Let's first decompose the incomplete corpses. As for the complete corpses, I'll go get some torches to synthesize 20 torch zombies, and keep the rest for now. Chen Wei quickly made a judgment. It's not that he doesn't want to synthesize all the torch zombies, but rather that Chen Wei doesn't have that much mana. In the previous battle, he used hand-to-hand combat, but the mana consumed earlier has only been restored by 2 points and has not been fully replenished yet. Combine 20 torch zombies in one go, and directly reset Chen Wei's mana to 0. No matter how much Chen Wei is, he cannot synthesize. As for using summoning methods to transform torch zombies, although it does not require mana consumption, the 25% conversion rate is pitifully low. Out of 61 corpses, only 15 torch corpses can be transformed, which is a great waste of this harvest. It's better to use mana to synthesize a portion first, keep the rest for now, and slowly synthesize when you have mana. As for those corpses that are already so incomplete that they cannot be pieced together, of course, they are decomposed without explanation. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Torch Corpse Upgrade. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Torch Corpse Upgrade, decomposed successfully. Obtain 66 gold coins, obtain 18 units of fresh flesh and blood. Obtain 11 units of rotten flesh and blood. 9 kitchen knives, regular quality, obtain 2 beating hearts, extraordinary quality, 7 pieces of the eye of the walking corpse, extraordinary quality, a kitchen knife, extraordinary quality, gold coin. A regular gold coin that can be used for trading. Fresh flesh and blood. Due to the power of zombies, fresh flesh and blood are maintained, which can be used to create insect swarms or demon plagues. Rotten flesh and blood. Rotten ordinary flesh and blood can be used to strengthen zombie undead units such as walking corpses, zombies, and zombies. Beating heart, extraordinary quality. A heart with extraordinary power that can be used to make equipment, serve as a power source, or strengthen zombie undead units. Eye of the walking corpse, extraordinary quality. Eye with extraordinary power, can be used to make decorations, serve as offerings, or enhance the agility of soldiers. Kitchen knife, normal. Attack 5, a melee-specific weapon of a certain zombie unit that can be used by ordinary soldiers. Kitchen knife, extraordinary quality, attack. 7, special. Activates 70% of the slashing effect and doubles the attack, explanation. Although the reason is unknown, the weapon in the hands of the zombies at the beginning was a kitchen knife. Compared to the last time I fought against skeleton soldiers, this time I didn't gain much, especially with extraordinary weapons where I only got 1 kitchen knife. Although there are many kitchen knives in ordinary weapons, they actually don't have much effect. Chen Wei's troops are torches and zombies, and kitchen knives are not their standard equipment. Given so many kitchen knives, it's better to give Chen Wei some metal materials and let him find a place to craft the corresponding weapons on his own. Bringing in a white bone treasure chest, Chen Wei packed all these things into the chest. Afterwards, he began to deal with the complete corpses. Because there was a plan from the beginning, Chen Wei kept 40.6 corpses untouched. Those corpses were piled up by him on one side, while the corpses selected to be synthesized into torch-walking corpses were piled up on the other side. The just-made torch was inserted beside these corpses. Standing by the pile of corpses, Chen Wei did not guide the magic to draw a magic circle on his own. This time it was a batch synthesis, and the larger the magic circle, the more energy needed. Chen Wei was not confident in drawing the magic circle all at once. And he didn't know the method to replenish his mana, so he could only rely on time to replenish it bit by bit. I missed this opportunity, and I don't know when I'll have to wait to achieve batch synthesis of 20 zombies next time. Chen Wei would not make that unwise choice. With the introduction of Chen Wei's magic, purple patterns surged towards the body along Chen Wei's arm, and then a huge magic circle appeared on the ground. The corpse wrapped in the magic circle and the torch were swallowed underground at the same time. At this moment, Chen Wei took out the army flag and thrust it heavily onto the ground. A large number of torch zombies crawled out of the ground. They were like the previous 5 torchbearers, holding iron torches in their hands, with grey skin and slow movements. 25 torch zombies mixed together, and it was impossible to see which ones were newly added to the team. Pulling up the army flag from the ground, a voice suddenly came from Chen Wei's ear. Warning, due to insufficient combat experience, all soldiers in the Legion cannot be upgraded. Please have 3 soldiers withdraw from the Legion formation. This information also stunned Chen Wei. What's going on here? There seems to have been no such warning before. Chen Wei quickly opened his Legion interface and found that Legion 1's attributes had turned red. Legion 1, unnamed, Legion function. Remote battery branch. Torch corpse quantity. 25 pieces level. Extraordinary level 1 campaign experience. 0, 2500, Legion blessing. From Commander, attack +0, defense +0, from Legion, none, from magic, none, from equipment, none. Chen Wei immediately noticed the change in attributes here, and the original battle experience of 500 had changed to 2500. Chen Wei thought of a situation and pointed to one of the torchbearer corpses. The torch zombie withdrew from Legion 1's team. In the next moment, the battle experience became 2400. Exiting one more person will increase the battle experience to 2300. Exiting another person will turn the attributes of Legion 1 into normal black text. Alright, Chen Wei Ming is clear. Every torch zombie in the Legion requires 100 points of battle experience to upgrade. After several battles, Chen Wei has a total of 2,250 points of combat experience in his hands. Coincidentally, it can elevate 22 torch zombies to extraordinary level 2. And Chen Wei happened to have 25 torch zombies in his hands, all of whom were organized into one legion. With insufficient combat experience, they were definitely unable to level up. This discovery has piqued Chen Wei's interest. I'll take a look. Can the upgraded torch corpse transform into a flower? Upgrade. With Chen Wei's command, the bodies of the 22 torch-walking corpses underwent slight changes, with obvious muscles on their bodies and the torches in their hands becoming even thicker. At the same time, the attributes of these torch zombies have also changed. Branch properties, name. Torch corpse quality. Extraordinary, with a maximum level of 6, type. Undead scourge characteristic. Flame level. Extraordinary level 2 attributes. Attack 6, defense 4, health 290, ammunition 8 initial skills. Fireball, flame blast, 2 fireball spells simultaneously gather fire and trigger explosive effects. Explanation. The enhanced torch zombie has the greatest feature of increasing ammunition. Looking at this attribute, Chen Wei was quite satisfied. Not only did his attack power increase, but his ammunition level directly increased from 3 rounds to 8 rounds, which was enough for Chen Wei to do a lot of things. Chen Wei had to know about this situation before, as he had already upgraded the torch corpse. The 3 rounds of ammunition are really too few, and they are not enough to fight against the enemy. However, Chen Wei found that not only did the attributes of different branches of the army change, but also the attributes of the army changed as all members of the army surpassed level 2. Legion 1, unnamed, Legion function. Remote battery branch. Torch corpse quantity. 22 pieces level. Extraordinary level 2 campaign experience. 0, 4400, Legion blessing. From the commander, attack +0, defense +0, from the Legion, range +30 meters, from magic, none, from equipment, none, a range of 30 meters has been added directly here. Although the range has only increased slightly, Chen Wei understands that this is the reason why the Legion level has been strengthened. It seems that the core and branches complement each other. The most correct choice is to enlist soldiers in the army for combat. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Cemetery Boss. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Cemetery Boss. After studying the situation of the Legion, Chen Wei ordered 3 torch zombies with only extraordinary level 1. You guys are guarding here. After speaking, Chen Wei walked towards the cemetery with a skeleton wall, a white bone treasure chest, and 20.2 torches and corpses. Most of the walking corpses in the cemetery have been led away by the white bone treasure chest. At this time, the cemetery was still lined with graves, but there were not many walking corpses moving between them. With powerful subordinates and ample ammunition around him, Chen Wei was not stingy when it came to fighting for wealth. Torch zombies, free to attack. Afterwards, Chen Wei stood behind the torchbearer and watched as the torchbearer lifted a torch and threw a fireball at the moving corpses between the graves. The fireballs they threw were noticeably more than half a circle larger than those thrown by the previous extraordinary level 1 torch zombies. After the fireball exploded, about 10 zombies were killed immediately. Even if the remaining zombies were not killed, they were blown to the ground and had no mobility. This kind of combat power delighted Chen Wei's eyes. Okay, press in with all your might and use the flame shock bullet. Under the command of Chen Wei, 20.2 torches and zombies coordinated in pairs, and 2 fireballs flew towards the same place. The target location of the flame burst bullet is several places with a high number of zombies. As the more intense explosion sounded, Chen Wei saw that not only were the walking corpses shattered by the explosion, but also the soil at the grave was overturned. The power of the flame bomb is greater than that of the fireball technique, but it is clearly more suitable for dealing with crowds. Dealing with individual enemies is a bit wasteful. As Chen Wei was analyzing the new skills of the torch corpse, he noticed that the zombies in the cemetery seemed to have received orders and were rapidly moving towards the center of the cemetery. Of course, what we mean by rapid here is the reaction of the zombie. They simply ignored the exposed Chen Wei and his group, and even turned around and headed in one direction. What is this? Boss. Chen Wei's eyes lit up and he prepared the skeleton wall. If it's really a boss, then this battle will have to be fought. He needs to ensure his own safety and retreat first. Afterwards, we need to show the boss the power of our torch zombie. Just as Chen Wei was shrinking his troops, a walking corpse crawled out of an old grave in the center of the cemetery. Unlike other zombies, this zombie did not hold a kitchen knife in his hand. He was wearing a decayed aristocratic evening gown, and when he looked up, he could see that half of his face had already rotted. When he crawled out, the zombie stopped and carefully surrounded the newly emerged zombie, as if protecting him. We're about to start. Chen Wei quickly prepared 4 or 5 attack plans in his heart. Now that the zombies are all gathered together, it's perfect to use the flame shock bullet to gather the fire. After killing the zombies, use the fireball technique to hit the boss. Wait for the other party to rush over, then lead to hand-to-hand combat at the skeleton wall. Chen Wei, holding a rusty sword, has already figured out the attack method. But he never expected that the walking corpse would glance at Chen Wei from a distance. How many times are you a player brought by planet capture? Can you speak? No, wait, how do you know I'm a player? Chen Wei was startled on the spot. The rotting facial muscles of the zombie twitched, as if laughing. Me. I'm just a player who died before even leaving the novice village. No, now I'm not even a player at all, I can only be considered a wild monster, boss, or NPC. Wait, what's all this about? Chen Wei felt that the walking corpse had something to say. The zombie slowly took 2 steps forward. Chen Wei noticed that the left leg and soul of the zombie were all gone, leaving only a bare leg bone. Your planet has just been captured in the game, right? Said the zombie with a human-like appearance. You may not understand that in this game, you can only be considered a player if you leave the novice world. If you die in the beginner's world, you will become a part of the game directly, forever trapped in this world and repeatedly killed by newcomers. Chen Wei understood as soon as he heard it. The world in front of him is the world of beginners. If he dies here, his fate will be like that of a zombie in front of him, turning into a wild monster, a boss, or an NPC that issues missions. They may even be beaten to death time and time again. Thinking of these, Chen Wei couldn't help but say something. What exactly does Hero Lord want to do? Who knows, maybe one day you reach the mythological level and can go find the answer. Now you should think about how to save your life. Save your life. Chen Wei looked up and found that the zombie who was originally protecting the zombie boss had already surrounded Chen Wei at some point. These zombies are somewhat different from the ones holding kitchen knives before, as they hold pickaxes used by miners. The number of these zombies is not very large, but their noticeably stronger bodies make Chen Wei understand that their level is definitely higher. Upon seeing this, Chen Wei couldn't help but sigh in his heart. I thought he had encountered an NPC that he could communicate with, but to my surprise, he still wanted to fight. White bone treasure chest, lead those guys away and attack with flame blast. Faced with the special zombies surrounding him, Chen Wei gave the order directly. The fireball of the torch zombie flew towards one place. That's exactly where there are a lot of zombies in front of the zombie boss. When all the fireballs hit one place, there was a loud bang. The strong explosion shock wave overturned Chen Wei's skeleton wall. Chen Wei finally realized that the flame burst bullet was not just a combination of two fireball spells, but rather a technique that can be used to gather fire and attack countless fireball spells. The most important thing is that the more fireballs in the flame strike technique, the greater its power. The zombie boss never expected that Chen Wei's subordinates, who were not even considered players, would have such a powerful attack method. The explosion just now directly blew up the zombie boss. The flesh and blood on his body dissipated significantly under the impact of the shockwave, leaving only some rotten flesh hanging on his bones. After the explosion, the zombie boss got up again. Now he no longer has the arrogant attitude he used to have, and he quickly moves towards the direction he just crawled out of. But Chen Wei has already seen through the thoughts of the zombie boss. Flame bomb, do it again. Boom. This time, the target of the flame bomb fell towards the grave where the zombies crawled out. In a larger explosion, a huge deep pit was directly blasted out of the grave. A half-black coffin exploded out of the grave, fell from the sky, and hit the zombie boss, shattering him into pieces. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Field Campsite Cemetery. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Field Campsite Cemetery. You killed 69 zombies, extraordinary level 1, gained 105 combat experience. Gained 1380 combat experience. You kill a zombie leader, extraordinary level 3, and gain 30 combat experience. You gain 300 combat experience. You have obtained 3 complete zombie corpses. What should you do to preserve, resurrect, summon, and decompose them? You have obtained 31 corpses, incomplete. How should you handle them, preserve them, and decompose them? As the zombie boss was crushed to death by the coffin, Chen Wei received such a message. This time the flame bomb is really too fierce. Last time, we still managed to retrieve some meat paste, but this time many zombies were even bombed out. At that moment, the white bone treasure chest suddenly ran back. Chen Wei finally realized that the explosion just now didn't seem to have killed all the walking corpses. The zombies holding mining picks are still alive, and in places not affected by the explosion, those zombies are still standing. How could the battle end like this? At this moment, Chen Wei realized that he seemed to have missed a line. You have taken the wilderness camp cemetery and the trading interface has opened. A wilderness camp. Chen Wei was immediately stunned. He never expected to encounter a wilderness camp. And this wilderness camp is so big, how can we trade it? The worst thing about Hero Lord is that it doesn't have any clear instructions or guidance. As he secretly roast, Chen Wei opened his attribute bar, and found that the gray, trading, interface turned bright. Clicking on the, trading, interface, Chen Wei's eyes lit up. Wilderness Camp Cemetery, distance. 15 meters level. Extraordinary level 3 branch. Zombies, extraordinary level 1, currently 31, producing 16 per week, 1 coin, minor zombies, extraordinary level 2, currently 17, producing 8 per week, 4 coins, Walking Dead Stanford, an extraordinary level 1 hero, unique, 2,000 gold coins or completing missions, explanation. All wilderness camps that establish connections can be traded remotely through the trading interface, but if the distance exceeds 100 kilometers, they will not be responsible for transporting troops. Chen Wei now understood that he had already taken over the wilderness camp in front of him. The surviving corpses and miners' corpses are considered as trade items in the wilderness camp, so they will not actively conflict with Chen Wei. Now Chen Wei also felt at ease. He checked the transaction information while first decomposing the decomposable corpses. This time there were only 3 complete walking corpses, and the rest were all incomplete. It's impossible to transform it into a undead even if you keep it, let alone use it to synthesize a torch zombie. Chen Wei directly decomposed all those corpses. Decomposed successfully. Received 47 gold coins. Obtain 9 units of fresh flesh and blood. Obtain 31 units of rotten flesh and blood. 11 kitchen knives, regular quality, obtain a beating heart, extraordinary quality, dot. For walking corpse eyes, extraordinary quality, dot. 13 sharp fingers, extraordinary quality, sharp fingers, superb quality. Fingers with extraordinary power can be used to strengthen weapon levels and enhance weapon attacks. After decomposing the body, Chen Wei sorted out the gold coins on his hand. In these battles, he has a total of 113 gold coins. Although he is not sure about the purchasing power of gold coins in this game, it is obvious that he cannot afford heroes. As for other zombies and minor zombies, this is not too expensive. Chen Wei calculated in his heart and quickly started operating on the trading interface. Purchase 31 zombies and 17 minor zombies. Ding, transaction successful, a total of 99 coins deducted. As this message popped up, the walking corpse with a kitchen knife and pickaxe walked step by step towards Chen Wei. Chen Wei quickly checked the information of the 2 branches of the army. Branch properties, name. Walking corpse quality. Extraordinary, with a maximum level of 4, type. Undead scourge characteristics. Soil level. Extraordinary level 1 attribute. Attack 4, Defense 5, HP 130 initial skill. Explanation. A walking corpse holding a kitchen knife, moving slowly but with high defense and long vitality, can serve as cannon fodder. Branch properties, name. Miner's walking corpse quality. Extraordinary, with a maximum level limit of 5, type. Undead scourge characteristics. Soil level. Extraordinary level 2 attribute. Attack 6, Defense 4, Health 200 initial skill. Dungeon, can dive underground and move to any position within a 300-meter range. Explanation. Although he is a slow-moving zombie, he is not moving at all slow underground. As soon as this information was released, Chen Wei almost understood the positioning of the 2 branches of the army. Strong vitality, slow movement speed, and standing at the forefront during battles for others to chop. In the eyes of normal people, zombies are cannon fodder, and even in the undead system, they are not taken to the wild and are directly thrown at home to defend the city. It's a bit interesting to see a miner's zombie. It's like an underground version of a zombie that moves slowly on the ground, but as long as it steals underground, it's not easy to be detected and can also be ambushed underground. This is quite suitable for being used as an assassin to sneak attack an enemy. Looking at the attributes of the two branches, Chen Wei confirmed the usage of these two branches. He quickly formed formations for two branches of the army. At this point, Chen Wei discovered a very serious problem. In the Legion interface, he only has 7 Legion flags, which means he can only carry 7 legions at the same time. This discovery left Chen Wei stunned for a moment. However, Chen Wei immediately realized that this was not the limit of the Legion. There must be other ways to organize a Legion here, but now Chen Wei has relatively little information and he doesn't know anything. Now is not the time to think about these things. Chen Wei quickly organized 2 new legions. Legion 2, unnamed, Legion Effect. Meat Shield Artillery Ash Branch. Walking Corpse Quantity. 31 pieces level. Extraordinary Level 1 Campaign Experience. 0, 3100, Legion Blessing. From Commander, Attack +0, Defense +0, from Legion, none, from Magic, none, from Equipment, none, Legion 3, unnamed, Legion Effect. Stealth Attack Branch. Miner's Corpse Quantity. 17 pieces level. Extraordinary Level 2 Campaign Experience. 0, 3400, Legion Blessing. From Commander, Attack +0, Defense +0, from Legion, Attack +2, from Magic, none, from Equipment, none. When the command flag representing these 2 legions appeared in Chen Wei's hands, he turned his gaze to the last trading target in the transaction. Extraordinary Level 1 Hero Walking Dead Stanford. Chen Wei doesn't have 2,000 gold coins, but isn't there still a task in the trading area? This is an opportunity. End of this chapter.